Hey, what's up y'all? My name is Benji. I'm a gender fluid artist living in Chicago, and I'm here today to teach you how to add spikes to accessories and jackets, and specifically this accessory, this collar that I made, and this jacket that I've owned for about like 10 years, and we're just gonna add a couple more things to it, and it should be fun, so stay tuned. Alright, let's get started. We're gonna add these small tree spikes to this blue choker. I made it a couple weeks ago, and I think it could use some spikes, because you know what doesn't need some spikes on it? Alright, to get started we're gonna measure where we want our spikes at and how many we want. I use this perforated ruler. It has these tiny holes at every 1.5 inch, and to mark where I want to punch a hole for the spikes, I use either an awl. You do this and then just take a hammer, knock a mark. If you don't have an awl, you can use a fine tip pen and just line it up nice and hit the spot right there with that. And then the next step will be punching holes, which I use a multi-hole puncher I got from Tandy Leather Forever, like this little rusty thing, but it works great. And we also have a hammer punch, which you'll need like a wood block. I use a small cutting board, works great. So after you make your mark for the hole, you'll just throw this on top and then grab a hammer and do that like that. Alright, let's do our first step of marking where we would like our holes to be to put our spikes in. Just gonna line up the ruler to about the middle, you know. It's like visually middle you can get it. If that makes any sense. Alright, then you're gonna use our awl and just poke 2 holes in that. Then you can't really see it, but there are 2 holes. You can see it with like face to face. And then I'm gonna take the hole punch and just line it up, punch a hole out. And sometimes they get a little stuck. I've had this hole punch forever. There, a hole. We got it. Alright, let's do the second one. Just clear this out of there. Alright. And then you're going to take the back of the screw and put it on the back of the collar, or whatever you're spiking, wherever you don't want to see the screw, wherever you want the spike to pop out. And then screw on the spike slowly. And then just for added tightness, you can throw on, I use an eyeglass screwdriver, just a tiny screwdriver in the world. And boom, you got a spike. I added a couple spikes to this side, but we're going to do the other side now. So take your ruler and edge it up with the middle piece and equally in the sides. And then just eyeball it where you think it's pretty much middle, you know. Grab the awl or like fine tip marker, stab some points in it. Then you're going to take your hole punch, find the hole, find the mark, just punch right through. Sometimes I wiggle it so it gets clean cut. And do the other one. So we got a good start on this choker, but now I'm just going to show you a couple different things you can do with the multi-sized hole punch. Like we're going to add these larger spikes, just one on each side to this collar. And what we're going to do first is measure where we'd like it. You can either use your tape measure from like where you see these spikes and figure out where you want it there. I'm going to use the ruler again, just line it up there to the spikes, and then sort of just eyeball it where I would like that at. I think about a 1/2 inch right there would look good, and just sort of see where the middle lies. Just make a mark. And for that, you can also, using the hole punch, you can fold it in half, line up the spikes. That looks about good. Make sure the straps are even, and then find where you left your mark. And then just punch right through both sides. So you get a pretty symmetrical hole. And we love symmetry. Okay, and another tip for security for these screw-on spikes, because they're just held by a screw on the back, you see, is a little bit of super glue, or if you're like me, a drag queen, you use just like a little touch of nail glue. It's just as strong, you would be surprised, and just a touch on the tip. You don't have to let it dry, you can just screw it right on and it'll set on its own. And if you thought we're done with this, we're not. So we got these tree spikes on here. This is pretty much how I found them, just Googling tree spikes or whatever. And I also just got these cone spikes, which I haven't used yet, so let's try these out. It's the same method. Now that this is looking gorgeous and glam, I think I'm just going to go ahead and use these 3 different spikes we have to finish the whole collar for a more complete look. And I'll just like speed through this, the same methods. Ooh. Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful, lovely, yes. And this is the end result. I got the larger spikes on the outside so they poke out a little bit more. The alternating pattern looks super cool and super fun, and also just to make sure everything's secure when I'm wearing these chokers, I just like sit and twist them. So like something to play with, you know. I don't know if you're like me, but also be careful hugging your friends, because you go in and they go in. It's not nice. Just be careful. Alright y'all, the next thing we're going to do is add another layer or row of spikes to my already spiked jacket. The things you'll need are going to be your chopping block or cutting board, an awl or a pen, your measuring tape or ruler, a hammer, and your hammer hole punch. The first thing we're going to do is mark where we want to place the spikes. I'm just going to take the measuring tape. It looks like these are about, say, like an inch apart. So I'm just going to mark it at ½ inch to get it in between those two so they're alternating. And it looks like these are about the same distance apart as the tape measure, so we're going to mark. Let's go this way. Just sort of line it up in the middle and grab your awl and that in there, make a pretty visible hole, then move on to the next one. And then you're going to take your chopping block and then put it through. I already cut out the lining in this. I had this jacket since like 2012, so I'm just gonna keep going at it. Okay, now that that's secure to where you're gonna punch out your hole, gonna find the mark you made with the awl, take your hammer hole punch, and just give it a good whack. And to add the spikes, you gotta take your block out. Then I like to, if you're working on a larger spiking project, I like to put all the screws in before I start adding the spikes. But you can do it however you like. For garments that get more friction, like jackets or shoes and stuff like that with spikes, you definitely want to add a little bit of glue. And also drag queen tip. Nail glue works just as good as super glue, and you just want to add a dot to the top of each one. You don't have to wait for it to dry. And you add your spikes. Alright, and now that we are totally covered in spiky objects and looking good and gorgeous, I hope y'all got everything you need to buy or order some yourself and add stuff to your outfits or accessories, but also be careful hugging your friends, because it's dangerous, but dangerous never looked so good, alright? Thanks again, everybody.